that offensive line tailed off and was a little bit more inconsistent than I would have liked last year in 2024. And it got kind of highlighted and exposed in a couple games. Frank Ragnow did not have his best game against the Bills. And then Graham Glasgow and Taylor Decker had up and down years. And then in the postseason against the Commanders, that offensive line did not protect Jared Goff. They didn't do their job. They didn't earn their Christmas present that particular playoff game. And I think that's one of the biggest areas. If you can get the offensive line with some young guards and Mahogany and Ratledge kind of pushing forward, I do hope that that's the opportunity, because if they can continue to grow and develop under the tutelage of Hank Fraley, I think the team has a chance to still have the same kind of expectation that this offensive line can be elite. What do you think they need to improve upon? Last week we talked about areas that can be confident. We can be confident in, most notably the offense. But what areas do you think they can get better at? Where does this team maybe have some concerns for you?
I think that the biggest area of concern is the way they play defense, and the stat that defines that to me is the pass interference penalties, and they rank 31st in the league in pass interference penalties. Um, they had 19 of them. And the thing about pass interference penalties is they're spot fouls, unless you're inside the threshold for half the distance to the goal. But you're talking about a team that gave up 274 yards on pass interference penalties last year. And I know that the weight of that kind of was tipped towards early in the year when Terrion Arnold was still kind of figuring it out. Obviously, he was like the big benefit, or the big kind of guy that everybody was keeping an eye on in terms of that, because he was somebody drawing flags a lot early in his career. And obviously, sometimes they officiate it differently for rookies and they want to teach them lessons, whatever. That is what it is. But at the end of the day, they have to be better in that aspect, especially when your defense is completely centered on playing man-to-man press coverage, and you're going to be handsy. But you have to be smart, and you have to know that when that ball's in the air, that the eyes are all on you. And if you make any sort of subtle, even if it's a subtle hand movement, like, you're going to draw a flag there. And that is what it is. So you have to be better in that area. Obviously, the coordinators both leaving is a huge area of concern across the national landscape. Everybody's concerned about Ben Johnson leaving, Aaron Glenn leaving. I do feel pretty confident. I think that with John Morton having been in the organization in 2022, that pivotal first year when they put in this offensive scheme, I don't think that that is going to be as big of a deal as a lot of people are making it out to be, just because I think that Morton already has that rapport with Goff. Goff feels comfortable in his scheme. And that's the big thing with Jared Goff. When Jared Goff is comfortable, he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. When he's uncomfortable and things start to spiral a little bit, then you see games like how they were against the Commanders in the divisional round. So I'm not as concerned about that. The defense, Kelvin Shepard is a natural leader. He's a very good coach, but I still think there's going to be some kinks to work out defensively as far as scheme and how they play defensively. Obviously, with a linebacker background, that's kind of where his focus goes. But I think the area of concern is the secondary, particularly the cornerback position. And so, to me, ironing out those pass interference penalties, not giving up 3 yards on defensive holding, like, they have to be better at that. I think that's the biggest area of concern. And then, like you mentioned, the pass rush, too. They've got to find something. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm all for letting guys like Davenport and Hassanin get out there and let them see what they can give you. But at the end of the day, when the calendar turns to December, they have to have this figured out. Like, they have to have it figured out. And so, to me, it's all about the defense. That's the big area of concern. They've been good against the run for the most part over the last couple of seasons, but there were some games last year where they had some blow-ups. And so they need to be more consistent in that area. And then, obviously, what can you get out of a second pass rusher? And can we avoid giving up the free yards in the secondary? Those are the biggest things for me.